Sydney's #1 podcast, West Underground.
Hello and welcome to another episode of West Underground. Today we have Chloe K. She is joining us. She's here with us in the studio, looking fabulous. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Yeah, she is dressed very, very well, isn't she?
Yeah, we're just talking off air because I want to get a pair of flares, and yeah,
we don't look great at all, so we could do with flares.
Yeah, 100%.
Flares specifically.
Yeah.
Chloe K and the Crusade, you are taking this world by storm at the minute.
Thank you.
I came across you. I was just on Instagram, and then I kept seeing like live footage of you singing at different festivals and stuff like that. And my guitarist Rowan was like, "We need to play a gig with this band." So what I'm doing right now is I'm using this to do that.
So Jack's using this podcast to network.
Yeah, I am.
Oh yeah, I mean, listen, we've got some fun gigs and festivals booked, and definitely always looking for
up and comers. But yeah, no, thank you for coming in. Thank you for coming all this way. It's quite far for you. You're a Western Sydney girl, aren't you?
Western Sydney woman, but always happy to, be a part of anything in any part of Western Sydney, even though is this Western Sydney?
This is Southwest.
Right, it's still Western Sydney in a sense.
So should we be Southwest Underground?
Well, originally that was the thing, right? It was like, could we call it Southwest Underground? And I would say it out loud. It's too wordy and it sounds dumb.
Yeah.
So I was just like, let's
and
just
you limit yourself. It's just West. It covers a wide range.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like we are put into the Western Sydney thing anyway. Like, we're not.
I've said it since I got to Australia. I feel like a Western Sydney boy, even though I live in the inner West.
Yeah.
It feels that way. But
yeah, it is like kind of the more pretentious side of Western Sydney in a sense. It's like it's Big Brother.
Big Brother.
It's more well received out there. But if you say, "Oh, I'm from out where I'm from," people like. Oh. It's not considered trendy. That's the difference.
Yeah. I feel like we're on par here because I don't think Bankstown's very trendy. That's
people kind of look down on it.
Yeah.
But we still love you, Bankstown. From the area.
From the area.
From the area. So, Chloe, can you tell us about your introduction to music?
So I was just really raised on like a lot of Marvin Gaye and a lot of... my dad would always play, like I heard it through the grapevine in the car, and that's what made me want to sing because I used to try and just sound like Marvin Gaye when I got home when I was 6 years old. And then, I don't know, like listen to a lot of Motown and like Bob Dylan and all of that stuff. Never listened to the blues. Like my family weren't into the blues per se, but like my mum is obsessed with Free and Bad Company, like Paul Rodgers. Like she has like a whole shrine to them in her house. And she has like a Free tattoo. She just loves Paul Rodgers. And so... that obviously is very blues inspired, but I just like loved soulful music from when I was young, and that just made me want to sing like him.
Wow. And then when did you know you could sing, right? Like,
well, I don't even know. I think I just loved singing because like I also loved Australian Idol when I was a kid. Like I was obsessed with it, which I feel like a lot of people wouldn't admit, but I'm going to admit it. My first ever crush was Shannon Noel, actually. So there you go.
Nosy.
On the record, honey, Shannon Noel. But yeah, I don't know. I wasn't necessarily good. I just taught myself. And I didn't even do lessons. I was just like, I'm just going to keep singing. And then, I don't know, I guess when I was in like late primary school, people like started to receive it well and would like make me sing in front of everyone. So I was like, I'll just keep doing it.
Was you like in assembly singing?
They would make me do that sometimes. Yeah. And like they'd get me up in front of the classes to sing, and everyone would be like, "Can you sign an autograph? You're gonna be famous."
In my weekly planner.
And that was the only time that I felt popular because I was always like an in-betweener. Like I never and I always felt so out of place. But I was like, well, I guess, if I keep singing, that's my thing, that's my purpose. So yeah, I don't know. I think if you work hard at anything, even though I've never been trained properly, I think if you like practice yourself and you like sing every day or you do something every day, I think it's also luck that I do have, like, obviously I had the base for like a good voice, but I think I loved it enough. I
Yeah, I think that because I like singing moves. I was never taught. I did like one lesson, but I think when you hear like classically trained singers, right? It takes like you listen to it and you go, oh wow, that's amazing, but you don't hear any soul.
Yes, I always
in
say
voices,
that.
and I think like you are a good singer, but I mean like the best. Like Bob Dylan has not got a great voice, but when he tells you a story, same way like Johnny Cash. It doesn't matter. Yeah.
Exactly. Even Van Morrison, like they all have very unique, like even John Mayer, to be honest, like when you listen to those voices, it's not like, oh wow, like their voices are incredible, but they're like got such a unique thing and like they have so much soul and they emanate that passion. Yeah. Like it's believable. And I was just talking about this with my friend Jimmy in the car because he's a musician, and like we were saying how so many musicians, like they can be technically great, but you don't believe them.
Yeah, right.
Like it's not believable. So like for me, and I think there's value in knowing how to sing safely. And I think like there's so many great singers who stuff up their voices because they don't know. Like for example, like Alan Stone sometimes, like he'll go so red when he's singing and I'm like, is that safe? Like, I don't know. Like, is he straining? Like, I think there's like a good balance you've got to find. And maybe Alan Stone does know how to sing safely. I'm sure he does, but like it just doesn't look that way sometimes.
Feels like an attack. Yeah. Does feel like an attack.
I'm sorry, Alan. I love you. Not that he's ever going to see this.
Learn to do it properly, Al. Learn to do it properly. Imagine he comes across this.
Oh my God. He commented on my post the other day too. So yeah, he did this competition where you could like try to sing with him, and then he commented on their nice.
I saw that. Yeah.
He actually sung to me on Valentine's Day once. I interviewed him and I was on the phone to him and he was in some Starbucks or something in the States or wherever he was. And I was sitting in a Starbucks and then he was just like, he just knows he's good. He knows he's incredible.
What did he sing?
And he sung to me, Al Green, Let's Stay Together. And I have it on recording and I'm like, you're trying to kill a woman over here, Al. And he's like, oh. It was so awkward, and then there was like this awkward silence. And he's like, "Anyway," I'm just so brash. Like,
I'm quite jealous of that, to be honest.
No, actually, it was amazing. I love Alan Stone. Incredible tone. I don't know if he's a trained singer, but the point I'm making is it doesn't really matter as long as you're doing it safely. Like, if you have feeling, that's what matters.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I like. There's so many people that and then this is maybe a comment on your character too. Like, I feel like you're very authentic.
Oh, thank you.
Do you know what I mean? Like your whole vibe and your whole Instagram is like a montage of you doing, you doing blues and like and also I feel like that's very, very brave in a way because like there's so many people doing other things and people trying to be like other people, but you're like, nah, I'm doing it my way or the highway.
Yeah, it's so true. I don't have it in me to like be to do something else. Like I was saying this to my friend today, like I just don't have it in me to. Even though it's like, I think there's actually pros and cons to doing something that's quite niche. Like obviously the con is like, for example, we just got booked for Woodford Folk Festival and a lot of my friends got knocked back, but we're playing the blues stage. So I think because I'm probably the youngest woman in the country doing something like that, there's cons, like we get booked for things that a lot of people get knocked back for because they need people that fall into that niche. And I guess, but then also the con is, like it's not going to be as accepted in the mainstream and like it limits you a bit. But
how often do you get you like Janis Joplin?
I love Janis Joplin, of course.
Yeah, do you get that a lot?
No, because I don't have the rasp. It's more I get like ever since we released Broken Woman the other week, I've been getting a lot of Beyonce
song, by the way.
And thank you.
It's a great song.
I think people just associate like a more ballady type with like Beyonce and stuff. They hear a so soulful voice,
Beyonce, wow.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. That's not where my mind would go personally. But I don't get
Queen B, eh?
I know Queen B. I mean, listen, it's an absolute compliment. Like I'll take it, but. Yeah, I think, don't get... Mostly for how I dress. People will be like, oh, that's a very Janis Joplin outfit or whatever.
Yeah, I would say the same thing.
I get Bonnie Raitt and Susan Tedeschi a lot, but they're my biggest influences. Yeah. Like I get... Actually, and Joss Stone as well. Like all those kind of white women singing the blues. But they're my queens, so,
I can't hear Joss Stone in your voice. I can't hear that. But I mean, look, it's good when people compare you to someone. And it's... Because you go, oh, well, they've made a lot of money out of this, so that's nice.
Exactly, I know, yeah. And, like, I look up to those people. So.
Yeah.
We get stupid ones, like the Wayne's World of podcasting. You know what I mean?
Oh, my God, yes.
I like it, but at the same time, I'm like,
Who's going to dance to Foxy Lady?
Pardon?
Who's going to dance to Foxy Lady?
Yeah.
We should do that for Halloween.
Yeah, we should. We've got to...
You need to do the whole, like, you should actually just recreate that scene, I reckon.
Yeah.
I love that. I can't listen to that song ever again the same.
I know, they've kind of ruined it. Like, I love that song, and then now I just see them in my mind.
Yeah, no, same.
Yeah.
It's not really Foxy anymore.
Yeah.
My band, The Home, we used to do that song, and I used to do that.
I love that.
So I just wanted to say too, like I found out about you when I had like a little stint in radio. Like you sent me your stuff and I listened to it and I was like, wow, this is like refreshing because I played guitar. I love guitar music, and I suppose if you get into guitar music, it will take you straight back to the blues. And it was just like refreshing to hear somebody just doing that, you know. And but then like you just mentioned the Beyonce thing, and it's like I wouldn't. If you ask me like who you sound like, I would say no one. I think you're in the lane of your own, really.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
And I feel like for me, the best guitarists as well are in it. Like everyone takes inspiration from people, and there's always going to be that there, like that element. But even when it comes to guitar players, like when you hear a guitarist and it's like that just sounds like them, like that's, and same with I guess singers. Like if you're doing something and it sounds like you know, you can hear the influences, but like you have your own thing. I think that's always better. But I think that's why I'm glad I started my own band a little bit later after so many years of music journalism, because I think like I came into my own a bit more, and I was more like sure of who I was and who I am as a woman and like as a musician. And like I was afraid to sing in front of people. Like my friend Jimmy and I were like having a jam last night, and we were like, hold on, the last time we hung out 5 years ago, like he couldn't get me to sing. Even though and he's like, I knew you were a good singer, but I wouldn't sing in front of him. Yeah. Which is so bizarre to me. I'm like, now I'll literally sing in front of anyone. Like I love it. It's my thing, but I hadn't come into that confidence yet fully. So yeah, I don't know.
That's a strange thing, the singing what you were talking about there in front of people. Like if I'm on a stage with a microphone, I'm okay with it. Yeah. But if I didn't have a microphone, I'd feel...
It is more nerve-wracking.
Yeah,
I literally on a mic on stage, that adrenaline hits you, and it's like this. You get the feeling from the band, and from like, I don't know, they're just adrenaline. It's a different feeling. It's like that's my church on stage. I love it. It's like where I feel at home. But yeah, it is definitely more all eyes on you when it's like an intimate setting and people are like, just sing. Like my mates would be like, just sing at the pub when she can sing, and they'll be like, sing, and I'll be like, oh, okay.
Will you sing for me, please?
And I don't drink, so I'll be stone cold sober, just like singing some song.
So you don't drink at all?
No.
Do you drink tea or coffee?
All Dog and Life.
Oh, okay.
Fair play. Have you always not drank, or was it?
Oh, a bit, you know, when I was younger.
Yeah. But you're just like, nah, this is not for me.
Yeah, it's not for me. I actually just feel like I'm I'm always the first one on the dance floor. I'm always like, I seem drunk when I'm out, like just because I'll be having fun with no inhibitions, and even though I'm like stone cold sober. And like a lot of people need like I think no one needs it. They just convince themselves I can't do it without drinking.
It's a confidence thing, isn't it?
It's a confidence thing,
So I remember my friend, he won't mind me saying this either, Gut, because he's in a very, very happy relationship now. But like when we were like 17, 18, he'd have to be pissed to talk to girls because he just couldn't. Yeah.
So many dudes
couldn't do it. But now he's got a missus and he's all happy, I'm sure.
Oh,
so he doesn't need that anymore.
He's coming to his confidence.
Yeah, but I think it's just such a big part of socialising. Same with like the music scene, unfortunately, it's like it's just always there.
Yeah,
I so it's good that you've got, you know, you're in the right mindset all the time.
But you know what, it can be tough for me because I feel like what I'm into, like when I'm not on stage, it's kind of weird. I'm like a contradiction because people assume when they meet me like, oh, you're like a big party girl, you're a rock and roll girl, but it's like actually, like I love that kind of clothing and I love that music and I definitely like have that vibe on stage, but actually when I'm not on stage I like to go to the arcade and I like to like play Mario Kart and hang out with my cat. Like I'm very much not what people would expect, which can be hard for like socializing with other musicians sometimes because I'm just not really into that whole like, I mean I like going out and seeing bands and having a groove, don't get me wrong, but like going to the pub and just sitting at the pub like isn't really my thing. Yeah, it's tough. Like it puts you in a bit of an in-between awkward.
It's to have that clarity all the time. That like there was a band who I went to watch and they're quite a big band, and after it, like I was quite drunk and I was like, oh, like get a drink, and he was like, oh, I'm sober, and I was like, oh, did not expect that. No. You had like a bottle of JD on stage, but it weren't JD, and it's just like, oh, it's just like this is my job. Does the bin man go to his job drunk? No, he doesn't. I'm doing my job, so.
Good on him. Yeah, that's awesome. And I love seeing like, and even like if you look at the 1975, like seeing how like much better Matty Healy is now that he's sober.
Off
like,
heroin.
It's actually, I mean, him off the hard shit, don't get me wrong. You know what I mean? But no, it's actually such a glow up. Like I loved the 19s. My sister's the fan, but like, you know, when I was younger, she got me into like the early albums and they were brilliant. And like we seen Matty Healy at Enmore Theatre and he's got his wine bottle all pretentious, you know. But now watching him, like the music they're releasing now, like it's just so refreshing to see him like sober. And I'm like, it's just, and even Stevie Ray Vaughan, like once he got sober, like, just his clarity, like performing, the music he was making, it's like really, you do see the difference. But I feel like people get caught up in this this whole mindset of like you have to, like they look at it's always the Beatles that get brought up. Like look at Sgt. Pepper's, like they wouldn't have made all these albums if they hadn't have got on the drugs. Like it like inspires. But I feel like ultimately, if you look at Frank Zappa, he was actually like a real big hard ass when it came to drug use in his band, and he was pretty much a sober man, and he was like made the wackiest, weirdest, most genius music ever. So I feel like you don't need it. I feel like people just, and that's what a lot of guys like, it does them dirty because they're not rock stars and they're not Jimmy Page, they're not Robert Plant, and they get caught up in this lifestyle that's really detrimental to them. And like, I think growing up in the West, I've seen the reality of it. I'm like not looking at it through like rose-colored glasses of like, oh, like if I get on the drugs, like, you know, the Beatles and like, and like this and like whoever, the Stones, whatever, like it's going to be like this. I've seen the reality of it, you know, and what it does to people's creativity, their life, like everything. So I don't know, for me, I'm just like, I just like to approach things in my own way.
Don't do drugs, kids.
Don't do drugs. You can make good music without it. Look at Frank Zappa. He's always the one that I go to because like people don't expect that he was like.
I didn't know he was sober.
Yeah, I mean, I think he drank here and there, but he had a really hard rule in his band. Like I love Little Feat, who are kind of obscure, but he had Lowell George in his band, who later died of like obesity and like a drug overdose. But I think, but he was like on the drugs pretty heavily, and Zappa kicked him out. He's like, no, I want people who. Not to say they didn't get on the shit here and there. I know Zappa didn't, but like the others. But he definitely had a rule of like you come in and you have clarity when you create, which I think is cool. But yeah, I don't know. I'm passionate about that.
What's your creative process like then?
I'm one of those people. I just love music. Like even when I'm not playing, like I know some musicians who when they're not on stage, they don't really care that much about music. Like they'll go home and they don't really pick up their guitar, they don't listen to that much music. Like I'm listening to music all the time. I'm so inspired by it. So like for me, I don't know, I'm just constantly like I just go in with usually a guitar player because I'm not good at any instrument. So for me, I like need to rely on someone else.
Good at singing though, that's a big instrument.
It is, my voice is my instrument. And the good thing is a lot of guitarists can't sing that well, so then we just meet in the middle. You know? So that's, I don't know, my creative process is just get inspired by things and then go and create with someone. Or I'll write myself at home a lot with my guitar, but I'm very limited. I know like 6 chords. Yeah. So
that's all right.
It's more than me.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it is.
You
just sing?
I can't play anything.
I want to hear you sing now. Sing us a song.
Quite good. Adele for the boys. That's what it's like, isn't it? But no, I think like that. I'm very limited by that because I can mess around with the piano a little bit, but
it is limiting. Hey,
you're limited to what you can write by what mood your guitarist is in when they put some chords together.
It's so true. I find for me, like I'll usually write something with my 6 chords at home. It's usually the same old chords. Then I'll write some lyrics down and then I'll bring those lyrics in a book and then I'll be like, show me some ideas, show me some riffs, whatever. And then like even Broken Woman was different. Like the guitarist sent me a voice note of his idea and that inspired them lyrics just came out. But usually like I'll have lyrics and I'll just see what it works with. And usually it's pretty lucky actually.
Yeah.
But I mean.
Do you own a capo?
Do I own one?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, get yourself a capo and then you can literally then play all the chords. Like
maybe I should just go buy a capo tomorrow.
Yeah.
I probably should. I might do that.
Give it a capo, Hamish.
You know what it is? I've never been diagnosed with ADHD, but Lord knows it's quite likely I have it. And so for me, sitting down, you know what it is? I always want to sing instantly over it. Yeah. Like I'll learn one chord and I'll be like, I need to sing to this now. I get too excitable and I don't. It's hard for me to like sit there and if someone's showing me, I do. I need someone to hold me accountable.
Yeah. Stay undiagnosed.
Oh, yeah.
Demonetized on YouTube. There it is. Hamish has got super ADHD.
Do you?
This is why this is such the success it is.
I didn't get like diagnosed properly until I was like 19.
Yeah.
And over like the last few years, now it's like I'm like super focused like on anything I want to do, but you know, I suppose that's where. What are you playing? Are you playing the sad music?
Yeah.
No.
This is quite sad.
This is like happy, but I don't have.
We haven't got a happy button.
But it kills that. It kills that like that little spark that you were talking about.
I
there.
know, that's what I'm scared about, because I do feel like my day to day is quite chaotic because of it. So I think it is like, I'm not big on medication actually. I'm very like very conscious of what I put in my body, but I think sometimes I have those days where I'm like, I can't do this. It's too chaotic. Like the idea, but then I also get worried. Like I don't want it to kill that Chloe-ness like that, because I do have that like kid energy and enthusiasm, but on the other end of the spectrum it's very debilitating to have like a chaotic day to day, which I'm sure you understand. So
100%.
Yeah,
I met Youngblood, and I was like, and he just ran around for hours and hours and hours on stage, and like not like I'm not exaggerating this, like fucking ran around like whole show.
I've seen some videos.
It's insane, like just so physical. And afterwards, like, you know, we were like the last in the lines and stuff, and I was like, how do you do it? He's like, fucking ADHD, man, it keeps me going.
I love that.
And I was like, you're probably right, like
it keeps you going.
Yeah.
I actually don't know if I have it, but you know, listen, apparently, you know, you can have ADHD tendencies just from a range of other things going on in your life. So who knows?
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I spoke to, like, when I had this drummer in my band, he had like raging ADHD.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, he said he thought I had raging ADHD. He convinced me that I had it. And so I've like in the last year been saying to people, like I feel like I'm like when I talk I have to like preface it with like, oh, it's just ADHD so people aren't dodging. But I'm like, why am I saying that? I actually don't know. Yeah. And I brought it up because I think like I see a psychologist weekly. I feel like everyone should. I feel like everyone should get better insight into their minds and their problems. Everyone has them.
We do the podcast.
Yeah, this is your therapy. This is your like Dr. Phil moment.
100%.
Yeah, I'll sit on the edge of that couch every week
Just
and he'll be like, what's going on with you? And then we monetize it.
Oh, that's so funny. But yeah, he said to me, you know, he was like, I don't know if you have it. Like, don't let people tell. It's just, you also just have a quirky personality and that's okay. And he's like, but it could be, you know, from other things in your life that you have ADHD tendencies. And I was like, I never thought of that.
What, this would be interesting. Who do you think in history had it and it was undiagnosed?
Oh,
I think
God,
lots
so
of people.
many.
I think
Mick Jagger must have it.
I think James Brown had it. I think
he was on the cocaine.
Well, I think that's
so
a
many
bit of
performers, but you know what? Most performers have a range of massive issues, and so it could just be again just the way that like trauma responds to be very like ADHD energy. It might not actually have been ADHD itself.
I have a feeling that a lot of like people that if you have that had tendencies to like abuse like stimulant medication probably had ADHD tendencies that they were trying to control
or something else. I think a lot of musicians just had mental health issues in general.
Trauma.
Because
you're not wrong.
Things deeply. Like musicians feel things very deeply. I think it's like the pro and con of being like, you know, a musician and a creative person, I should say, is that like we feel things deeply, but on the other end of the spectrum, like it creates beautiful art. So sometimes some people just make shit up, but you know.
Or really, really depressing music.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jack's the king of that.
But see, it's funny because like people think the blues is depressing, but for me, the blues is like taking something that is a depressing theme and giving you a sense of comfort and a sense of like therapy by like being able to relate to that. For me, anyway, like I feel like the blues is this beautiful.
Yeah.
If you look at it to its core, it was slave music. You know,
exactly,
it was how they kept morale. It was how they kept in contact.
So it's a positive thing.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Absolutely.
You know, that's how I see it. Yeah.
And that's what it is to me too. I agree with you. Like when people say the blues is like depressing music, I think fuck off. Like it's not depressing music. It is literally like having a sense of humor. Like it's like where you know, like it's comedy in a sense.
Yeah,
like,
laughing almost about your problems. Like it's the same kind of thing. It's like you're singing about them. You're taking a bad situation and making it good. Like if you have mental health issues, you know, you're taking your problems and making good art. Like that's the same thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I'm with you.
And that's like B.B. King. He literally was on the cotton fields, and the guy that he worked for, this white man, he always like praised him. Actually, he was very like one of those, he was very kind about that man because he like encouraged him to go and busk on the weekends, and because he started, you know, singing on the cotton fields, and like he was like, no, you should go and busk on the weekends and like you know, get that music out there. So it ended up being, and then obviously he got picked up by the radio station. They called him BB, Blues Boy, and then he became absolute multi-millionaire. So, you know, it all started on the cotton field. Same with, I think, Buddy Guy. So
what was Buddy Guy like to meet?
So that was amazing. Like that was like one of the best nights of my life. Like truly, that was insane.
Yeah.
Because I had this friend, Chris King Robinson. he's an amazing guitar player. And already I like was doing work backstage at Blues Fest in the media tent. And so, but my friend Chris had played with Buddy Guy at, I think, Royal Albert Hall. Yeah. And so on the same lineup.
Yeah.
Oh, and
that's so cool, isn't it?
Before we tell the Buddy Guy story, did we talk about on air like how you got into journalism?
No.
Because I think if we go to that part of the story first, this will make sense for everybody because so people don't think, how did you meet Buddy Guy?
No, yeah, true.
Yeah, I just want to give the context for it.
Yeah.
So I suppose, how did you become like a media journalist?
I just really loved, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I always loved singing. Yeah. And I dropped out of school when I was 15 and then I went to a music tape and then I just got caught up with the boys because I was like, oh my God, boys who like music. Like I grew up in Fairfield, so Lord knows I didn't see much of that, you know. And then I didn't even do the work and then I left and then I was just, but then when I was there, I still didn't know what I wanted to do. I just liked singing. And my sister was there as well. She loved singing. And then I met some boy there who was like, oh, I want to be a music journalist. And I always loved writing. Like I loved entertainment news, like the real tacky, like celebrity news. Ever since I was a kid, obsessed with it. Yeah. And so I was like, oh my God, you can combine both those things. Like you can be a music journalist. And then, I left that, it was at TAFE, like I left that course. And then I was just working for some wine company as like an admin girl. And then I was like, no, I want to go to uni. I want to be a music journalist. I want to like do all of that. Went back and did my year 12, got a 95 ATAR. And then I went to uni. And then when I was at uni, just started writing like for different publications, getting paid for it. And then I was very, I am a very ambitious person. But when I was young, it was like burning the candle at both ends. Like literally I was interning, I was writing, every bit of free time was spent.
I can see like Hunter S. Thompson with a cigarette in your mouth.
No, literally, like minus the drug addiction, the chaos of Hunter S. Thompson and the enthusiasm. I loved Lester Bangs. He was my god. I thought he was, ruthless. But yeah, Hunter S. Thompson, of course, iconic. But yeah, I just would watch Almost Famous and be like, I wish I grew up in the 70s, but that's going to be me. And I was so deluded. Yeah. Because you watch that, I really wanted to be like a young Rolling Stone writer and this and that. But like obviously at the time, that was probably like, I don't know, 2015 or something. Like things are different these days,
you know. Absolutely.
How old are you by?
25.
25, okay.
Turned 25 this year. March, Pisces woman.
When's your birthday?
March 3rd.
Yeah. Oh, nice. 15th.
Oh, okay, you're a Pisces boy.
Yeah, it's coming up.
Yeah.
In 6 months.
I know, I feel like, oh my God. How old are you?
I'll be 27.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And how old are you, Hamish?
I'm 23.
23?
Yeah.
When's your birthday?
May. Taurus. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. All the boys in my family are Taurus men.
Nice.
So I know a lot about Tauruses. And it's only Taurus and Pisces in the house. It's the two boys.
Wow.
Tell me about Pisces. Tell me about Pisces. What are we like? I don't really get into
highly
all that.
Emotional.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very sensitive people.
Yes.
We are, I'm not good at looking at the camera. I've just been looking at you guys. I don't know if I should. We're very emotional. We feel things very deeply. I feel like Pisces are very empathetic people. We definitely can tune in with other people and like we take, I don't know, we live in our own world, I feel a lot.
Yeah.
And do you sense that? Like, do you get that?
Yeah, I feel that.
You throw yourself at lots of projects.
Very creative. Yeah. I feel like Pisces are like the mother of the signs. I almost feel like we're very giving, kind of mothery people.
I feel like a mother.
Yeah, you kind of look a bit like one.
Yeah.
In a good way.
Now, little boy, do your homework. Yeah, I'll take that.
I can see you as a soccer mum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I asked for it.
I was about to say you got the thighs for it.
Yeah, thank you. These have been gawking at me for the last half an hour.
But I actually feel like Pisces men are really good to date because they can feel, they are just more emotional and it's sometimes a little, if they can know how to control it a bit better, you know, it's good.
Jack's going to clip this and show it to, you're going to show this to Abby.
Yeah. She'll disagree with it.
Your girlfriend's going to disagree.
Yeah, she'll be like, he's a fucking child.
I'm not going to lie. Like the one Pisces I did date, he was like a big child, but you know, it was good. I felt like I never connected with anyone on a deeper level. I just feel like Pisces and Pisces understand each other in a way that's very, like on a different level. Any kind of water signs, I think, because we all feel things very deeply.
I'm really happy with that. I'll take that. Yeah. That's nice. That's really nice. So you were watching Almost Famous and you were thinking this is how it's going to be.
Oh, I'm going to be.
Yeah.
That's going to be me, Cameron Crowe. You know, because he actually, that was about his life.
Yeah.
You know, and he ended up marrying one of the girls from Heart. So, like, he literally ended up marrying a freaking rock star, you know.
Was it about him or Jan, the other guy?
No, it was about him.
Oh,
No,
okay.
it's
He was
literally
one of-
about him.
Yeah, it was actually about his life.
Yeah.
An amazing director. I mean, he did like Jerry Maguire and like so many other amazing films. Like he
Yeah.
was like, imagine just being that talented. What a life to live. Like marrying a
Right?
rock star,
Yeah.
riding like and touring with all those people. He toured around a lot with the Allman Brothers, I think. But and actually, fun fact to bring it back to Paul Rodgers, the main actor in Almost Famous like modeled what he was doing off Paul Rodgers, but it's because they looked so similar. I swear,
Yeah.
like they could have been like brothers. He looked a lot like him in the 70s attire. So yeah. But anyway, I thought like that's what it's going to be like. Obviously, the reality of things in 2015 versus in the 70s very different.
Yeah.
But I feel like I'm glad I was able to experience all of what I did, like more in the like 2015 to like.
Did
19?
you try and be honest, or were you, because like, so we used to
This
get a
is
lot
the
of
point.
reviews and we used to get like puff pieces kind of thing of like, it's,
Yeah.
you know, like fellatio piece, if you like. It's like, you know what I mean? You feel great
It's
about
just
it.
syrupy. And you know
Yeah.
why? Because it's such a PC world. And this is the reality of it. Even in the 70s, Lester Bangs, who was, when he was ruthless, he got fired from magazines because he was being honest. And like the reality is, especially in this day and age, it would be even worse now. So like, I'm glad I did it in 2015 when people were still reading some online content. I feel like these days people have no attention span. It's even worse now. But yeah, my friend asked me this yesterday because he's like, I want to start a vlog where I'm just ruthless. And I'm like, you actually can't be now. Like if you can be, you know, give a subpar review, but if you still have to soften the blow. Like they won't publish it if you're brittle.
Yeah.
It's just the reality of the world we're living in. Like they don't want that. I don't know. It's just, so it's not really a review. I don't like doing reviews because it's like you can't be, unless it's like an amazing gig where you truly feel you're being honest. It is just puff pieces. And I feel like for me, interviews have always been where it's at.
Yeah.
Because you can just really like as you guys would know, like you can just authentically sit there and get to know musicians and like.
Because we get asked, don't we, to do
Reviews.
and I couldn't.
I can't
it's not
lie.
worth it.
Who we have in here is very much like dependent on what we like.
Yeah.
So if you haven't been on or we haven't been in contact with you, you know, but
Yeah, sorry.
it's true. It's like we get on people we want to get on.
Yeah.
When we're getting like submissions for reviews, I just don't think I could be. I couldn't be honest about it, and then at the same time, like I've had a bad review before, and it fucking breaks your heart.
Yeah.
I couldn't do that to someone.
And it's also like too, like I couldn't review, like if you're in some kind of like emo band, I couldn't really review your music because I don't like your music. To
Yeah,
begin
it's
with,
hard
so-
to, if you're not an expert on that style of music, it's hard to critique it. And also I feel like for bigger bands, critique all you want. Those people are established artists, you know, but when it comes to local musicians, I don't feel, unless like, I don't want to, again, I don't want to fucking break their heart. Like I don't want to be, and also who am I? I was literally being paid at one point to review movies and it's like, who am I? Like, what do I know about films?
movies?
Don't complain.
That was actually so good. I used to get free tickets to go to like Gold
I
Class
would
Cinema,
love
all
that
my
job.
friends.
Oh, Hugh's
and
jealous.
I used to get paid to review movies.
I would love that job.
It was
Yeah.
amazing.
My favorite thing to do is go to the cinema.
I love going to the cinema.
It's my
It's
favorite thing to
good.
do.
I love it. And all my friends, I used to be like, here's some tickets. We'd all go like recliner seats. And I'd just be like, okay, I'm just going to like review some movies.
Yeah.
Then I ended up getting really sick and like in and out of hospital with like some ovary stuff. So then I lost the job because I couldn't go into the office. Even though I was literally in the hospital bed getting my reviews in, but wasn't good enough. But listen, it was fun. It was really fun, but you know, it was what it was. It was just meant to be for a little period of time.
Yeah.
I love fun stuff like that. I don't like hard news.
Yeah.
I don't want to even be involved in that world. I actually think it's disgusting. It's propaganda. If I do say so myself.
Right, because I've been
Tonight on the news.
Oh man, I can't. And you know what? What I realized when I studied journalism, when I did my degree, because it was during the Trump election too. It was such an intrigue. It was such a good time to be a journalism student. Because I just learned so, and obviously there was such biased reporting in that time too, on like either side. So it was like super intriguing to like to be taught about all of that and like to see it firsthand. But like for me, you know, what we were taught is like the whole point of the news is to just basically fearmonger people. And that's why at the end of, if you watch the news, right, it's like we're hearing about these random accidents that actually don't affect anyone else. Like obviously if it's something that's going to affect a wide range of people, it's relevant. But like you would be hearing about all this depressing stuff that instills fear in people, and fearful people are easy to control. Then at the end, they'll be like, and also this new elephant that's been born at the zoo, like just stick around. And then it's like, I never liked the news. So it was really odd for me to go and do a journalism degree and to like, I did work in hard news for like 4 weeks and they got me to write this for the biggest publication in the Western world. And then they got me to write an article that was like fully false. And then they said, you have to like make it this exclusive. And I said, it's not factual. Yeah. And then I realized like it's just like journalism now just doesn't have ethics.
It's funny you mentioned this because this week I listened to an interview like Jordan Peterson did with Piers Morgan, and it's on Jordan's podcast, so it wasn't the one that they did on the Pierce's one. But it's funny because Jordan Peterson's a famous psychologist, and Piers Morgan is a famous worked for the Murdoch media, and he was saying to Jordan Peterson, like, my son's told me you can't go in with this to talk to Jordan Peterson and do your usual, what you do to politicians, like where you just talk over the top of them and try to get them to say stuff. And he kind of went in and explained what he had to do to be on those BBC and those publications. And you're just like, that is such a horrible way of having to think every day.
It's crash.
Yeah, it is.
Like on TV, in TV though, it's crash TV, isn't it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, but I like the idea that Jordan Peterson was like, that is quite interesting that you'd say that to me, Pierce.
Yeah.
That's what he talks like. He's like Kermit the Frog.
Right.
I don't know. You seem like you don't like Jordan.
I like his voice. What was that a good impression, Hugh? Thank you.
It was
I really
good,
like. I like Jordan because
I like his ones with Russell Brand. Have you seen them? Because they've got very different political opinions, but they get on because they respect that both of them are intelligent.
Yeah.
I just love when two people who have different opinions can come together and talk without going. Because I think if you're, I was literally having this conversation last night. Like, I love to go into a conversation with someone with a different opinion, but be open to having my mind changed about it. Yeah. And I feel like so many people now in this generation.
Sorry.
Apparently, I haven't been in the camera.
You were in a really good point there, and you just ruined it because Hamish is sat out of the camera.
Oh, okay.
No bed.
I don't know what's going on, but are we good now?
Tom just
Sorry.
Am I supposed to look at the camera, by the way? Like,
you can if you want.
That's so awkward.
You don't have to.
And this is my bad angle too. So it's just gonna be like a fucking rat.
Don't say that.
Brush, like in the fucking camera. Does my celeb look like Basil Brush?
Basil Brush.
Basil Brush.
Boom, boom.
Boom, boom. It's better than looking like Basil Fawlty anyway.
I don't even know who that is. But Basil.
Did you ever watch Fawlty Towers?
Oh yeah. Is that his name, Basil?
Basil Fawlty, yeah. Just come in a little bit closer into that.
I was like,
we're all having production issues here.
So before we were rudely interrupted, we were talking. We were talking about. You were saying you were on the terms about people having different opinions and.
Oh yeah, no. So I love going into a conversation with someone who has a different opinion to me, open to having my mind change, because I'm very much like, I just feel like that comes with age as well. Like maybe because I'm 25 now, like my brain's fully developed. I like having interesting conversation and seeing. I'm very an understanding person. I like to see why people have the views they do and like where they come from. And a lot of people just, especially in this generation, like they'll have an opinion and they go into a conversation like, here's my opinion. This is why you're wrong.
Yeah.
And I don't like that.
No, I don't like it either.
Seeing people, like especially really intelligent people with very strong opinions on either side of the spectrum, like coming together just to have a conversation.
Yeah.
That is always intriguing.
I like changing my mind. Like I think,
same.
and I really like changing my mind and
Maybe
opinions on
it's the ADHD
things.
in us, honey.
Yeah, right.
That's like a 1960s song, like really happy Buddy Holly. I like changing my mind.
I do. I should have wrote that.
It's never too late. You can write it.
You can have it right now.
Thanks.
Yeah, it is good to have differences of opinion. Me and him him and I have so many different opinions on things.
Yeah.
But we still get on really, really well.
And I love that. You shouldn't have to. I mean, some people, I understand if there's like very strong opinions that someone has that are very, hateful or whatever, then maybe then there's grounds.
Nip that in the bud.
Yeah, of course. But I think, it's actually healthy to have people, and this is actually something that was really valuable. I was saying this to my brother last night, like something really valuable that I learned at uni. If anything, it wasn't worth the $90,000 to learn this one thing.
Wow.
But listen, it was a really good lesson, which was, you should never just have around you people who have the same opinion as you.
100%.
You should follow things that you don't agree with on socials. You should open your world up to things that aren't like, it's just the way that you expand your own view of the world, your own opinions, and you need to have that. It's healthy to have friends who have different opinions too and things like that.
And bandmates.
And bandmates. Yeah. Oh yeah, please. I've had some bandmates that have very different opinions.
Yeah.
Especially during the pandemic, actually. Like it was quite interesting because everyone was it was such a
weird time
and like everyone had such strong opinions on whatever they believed, and like so it was very interesting to see how people in different bands and even just relationships like dealt with that. I have friends who, one of them's like an anti-vaxxer, and she just had a baby with a man that she'd only just didn't know for very long, and then he was like pro-vax, and like they realized their values didn't align, but they just had a baby together, and it was like a very harsh reality check for them. Like the pandemic was real like that, hey, but you know, they're still together, so I think they've just made it work. But yeah, like differences of opinions like that.
The baby's only got half of its vaccines.
I actually don't know if it's vaxxed. I wonder. But who knows? It's their life to live, their choice.
So when you were reviewing, like when you were a music journalist, were you doing like all the genres, or were you blues focused because that was your passion?
It was like a lot of like roots music, but at the beginning it was like a lot of different stuff. But I was always the blues girl, like the blues roots. So kind of like, you know, anything under that umbrella. But because like I wrote for Happy Mag, that was the first thing I wrote for, and I wrote for them for quite a while. But I kind of secured my niche as like the blues girl there. I got their first like sponsor or whatever it was, like their ads with Blues Fest and stuff, because I did this big article. That's how I got in with Blues Fest, because I worked for Happy Mag. I think I was just 18 at the time when I wrote this article, and I did like an article about all these musos that were playing Blues Fest, and then it got a lot of shares. Like it got like all the artists were sharing it and stuff, and then Blues Fest shared it, and then I was like, oh, I want to get a media pass, and then they like started like a relationship with Happy Mag from that. And then I ended up going every year as media to Blues Fest, often for Happy, but then I started going for American Blues Scene. And then, so it kind of always was under that umbrella. But I have done a lot of other like different genres, you know. But for me, like what I know is what I'm best at, you know.
Yeah.
The reason I ask that is because we were given context, a nice 15-minute context. Well, bloody guy.
Oh my God.
So then you meet Bloody Guy.
Yeah.
No, I liked it. I thought it was good.
Yeah, no, it's good. I feel like everybody's up to date now with the story. It's not like you've just suddenly met Buddy, you know, like been in.
Bloody Guy was in Coles.
Yeah.
But my coolest stories weren't even necessarily from like when I met Bruce Springsteen and danced with him. Like that wasn't even from the journalist.
Oh,
that was
right.
just me. I think like you manifest
You met
shit.
Bruce Springsteen?
Danced with him, honey. Got VIP ticket.
When was this?
That was 2017. Had to actually defer from uni because I took too many days off hanging out with old mate Springers.
With the boss? Was you dancing in the dark?
No, it actually wasn't. It was during 10th Avenue Freeze Out. And I had a sign. I like got all dressed up, and my flair, no one wanted to pay the $300 to go. So I'm like, I'm going to go to Bruce Springsteen by myself. And I danced with him.
In Sydney?
Yep. So I went to the first show at the arena.
Yeah.
Right.
And then I was like on the side. I was in the seats, like, and then I had this sign. My sister's boyfriend at the time was an artist, so I wrote this tiny sign. It wasn't even straight. He's like, "Let me do it," and it was like, "Bruce, can we dance?" And I was dressed like with the beret, like little Stevie, and my whole like.
We were there.
I just looked very. Were you there?
Yeah, we were there.
Sick. And then I during 10th Avenue Freeze Out, I ran down the stairs with my life, and I'm like holding up my sign, and there's footage of it, but really dodgy footage because like I didn't have anyone there with me, and I'm not the type to have my phone like out. Like I wanted to just enjoy it, but you could see from behind, so you can't see my face. But and he like full danced with me and gave me the microphone like during 10th Avenue Freeze Out, and then he was like holding my hand, and then he went like that at the end. I'm like. Oh my God.
I remember this because I was there.
Put that in this shoe when you edit that. Put that video.
We thought we were the youngest people in Kudos Bank Arena that night, and then I remember that like this like young girl, because we were right up in the stand, so where we could just see like this young girl get up on stage and start dancing with Springsteen, and we're like.
Chloe K.
Phew, we're not like the
Chloe K.
Yeah,
no,
Chloe K. Yeah.
No, I wasn't on stage.
Oh, you weren't?
No, during Dancing in the Dark, they get people on stage, but because I wasn't in the GA, he just came over when he did the walk around during 10th Avenue Freeze Out, and then he grabbed me and danced with me on the side.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't like on the actual stage.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted, but then I realized how like, oh no, he's only going to go for the GA.
If I'm you, I'm telling that story a lot different.
No, but like it was. I got
never let the truth get in the way of a good story. I'll be like, Bruce said to me, give me a dance, and you said, all right, brought me on stage.
So Jack, what told a story on Monday Night Fever about how he was going to audition for X Factor the same year as One Direction. I brought it up another time.
The year after.
The year after, but the story sounded good.
Yeah, you'd never let the truth get in the way of a good story. It's like 70% factual.
I'm just too honest. I'm like, there's no mystery with me. I'm like brutally honest. Like, oh no, I wasn't on stage. Or he just like, but you know what? Dancing with Springsteen, having this man hold your hand, look you in the eye, give you. But it was cool because it wasn't Dancing in the Dark. It was like something different, you know. And then like my friend Brad, he meets all the celebs. Shout out to Brad. And he didn't actually go to the show. He was just trying to meet him afterwards, and we met up. And we didn't get to meet him, but he waved to us in the van. And then Brad's like, oh, you know, little Steven's doing this like 60s underground radio thing at Hard Rock tomorrow. Like, it's not publicized, but I know about it. So we went, and I was dressed head to toe in this like 60s outfit. I'm not joking. Everyone there was just staring at him like a zoo animal. Like, no one was moving. No one was, it was so, just waiting for shit to get signed. And I was like, I felt so awkward. I was dancing, right? And then little Steven's like, I like your dress. And I'm like, well, this is my in. This is my in. And I'm like, and then he's like, oh, you know, I like your dress. And I'm like, the boys were like, please ask him if we can get a photo. You're our only hope. And I'm like, can I get a photo? And he's like, yeah, I'll come down in a second. And he said no to the boys all night. And then he came down. And he grabbed me by the hip, you know, as they do. Yeah. And he goes, oh, thanks, you know, thanks for dancing. And I'm like, oh, you know, well, since I'm the only one bringing in a vibe here, how about 2 free tickets to tomorrow night's show? Because I was playing 2 shows. And then he's like, yeah, okay. He's like, yeah, darling, talk to my my assistant afterwards. And then like he got photos with everyone, even like the Hard Rock employees came out. There was like lines. And then at the end of it, yeah, they're like, okay, well, your name's going to be on the door. So then I took Brad, because obviously it was because of Brad that I even got the opportunity. And then the next day, so I'd had to take all these days of uni, and because I went to a private college, and that's why I'm in so much debt, I had to defer because I missed too many classes.
I think it was worth it.
It was worth it. And then the next day we turned up, and they're like, yeah, you're VIP, and we got these stickers. Like, we got to go backstage. It was so amazing. Like, and then we were G. And then my friend Brad got so lucky, and he got to dance with Springsteen too. Like, so what was our luck of all the people? That day I didn't get to dance, but I like grabbed his arm and I was like, oh, like the muscles anyway. Springsteen, he might be in his 60s.
Oh, he's still, fit. I think he's older than that, isn't he? Oh, he 72 or something?
I was young. Yeah, he's probably in his 70s now.
But then, he was still a fine
he's gotten a little skinny now. He actually looks a little sick. I hope he's all right. But he was like very built, which isn't usually my type, but it's Springsteen, you know.
Yeah.
He's built.
What did his hands feel like?
Huh?
Were his hands rough or were they soft?
No, they were like the big hands, but like like that masculine, like that soft masculine energy.
Let's have a look at your hands.
Why are we looking at my
hands?
hands?
Your hands. Switch them over.
Oh, you have very long fingers.
Yeah, I should have been a piano player.
Do that. Wait, squeeze that in like that. You know,
I have little hands.
You're not a blue collar worker, my friend.
You got guitar, piano fingers. I've always taught to have good piano
hands. Massive hands, them. Massive hands, them. Bit scared actually looking at their hands.
Big gloves.
Oh, so buddy guy.
Yes. I rant. Sorry, boys.
It's all right.
No, that's all right. I mean, that's fascinating. I'm just sitting here very jealous.
Sometimes we get people in here, and you're like, and then nothing comes out.
Yeah, you're like,
so, no, it's good. You keep gabbing. So buddy guy.
Yes.
What was that like? Because if I could top 5 people I could meet, it'd be in that.
Really?
Yeah.
You like the blues?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, Buddy Guy, meeting Buddy Guy was one of the best nights of my life, like truly. And that was because I was already backstage at Blues Fest with doing media stuff, and I was interviewing for Blues Fest TV as well. But he wasn't doing interviews. It's Buddy Guy. He doesn't need to do interviews. I mean, he still does sometimes, but not for at the festival, you know. And I had met his band because I was there with my friend Chris King Robinson, who had played at Royal Albert Hall with, I think it was Royal Albert Hall with, or it might have been Carnegie Hall actually. But he played with Buddy Guy, and so he'd met him and like knew his band, and he seen his band, and I was with Chris, and so like we got, you're not supposed to as media go and like into the food place and into backstage, like you're not allowed unless the artist specifically invites you.
You're like vampires.
Yeah, we're like forced into our little corner, you know, but you're always like on the lookout, like lingering around in your good outfit, hoping someone says hi, which happened a lot actually, because they just assume you're a muso if you like dress the part, you know. Anyway, and so they started talking. They're like, come have dinner. And then they thought Chris was playing there, and we just let them believe it. Again, with the lies, sometimes you got to embellish. 100%. He was just like, oh, yeah, I'm playing. And then so they're like, come have dinner. And we went into the tent with like Rick Jazz and like the band. Buddy wasn't there yet though. He arrived like very soon before he played. And so we got there, and I'm like thinking, oh my God, this is such a dream. Like, kill me now. And then we went to go get food, and they're like, where's your artist pass? And then Chris is like, can I just pay, please? Let me just pay. They're like, no. And then I'm like, far out. And so anyway, we're like, oh, we're not really hungry, hey, but we were like lingering, and we were like talking to the guys. Yeah. And then we left. Oh, and before that, Chris like had my tote bag and like got stuck over a fence, and Buddy Guy's band had to like help him over, and it was really emasculating and embarrassing. But so it was already off to like an awkward start, because me and Chris are like the most white awkward people ever. And so then anyway, like the band were like, oh, you're going to come back watch Side of Stage. And we were like thinking, oh, fuck, like they still don't know that like he's not playing here. Like we're not really supposed to go, but you know what? We did it anyway. We like went as Buddy like was on stage. We went to walk side of stage, and then the head of media was like, "What are you doing here? You're not supposed to be here." And then it was like something in a movie. One of his guitar techs turned around the corner and he's like, no, they're with us. They're with us.
Oh, that's cool.
And then we walked upstairs.
Very cool.
I was side of stage. I was dressed head to toe like Buddy Guy, polka dot shirt, the overalls. Like I was manifesting. I'm not joking. Even with Bruce Springsteen, for some reason, like the whole year, I was like, I'm going to dance with Springsteen.
Manifestation's real.
And then it is, I believe in manifestation because with Buddy, I'm like, I'm going to dress like Buddy. I'm going to meet Buddy. I'm going to hang out with Buddy. And I did it. And like, I'm side of stage dressed in polka dots. Any of the videos from front row, you could just see me. I was basically on the stage. And Eric Gales was behind me the whole night. And I'm just like, oh my God, like this is just so crazy. And when he got off stage, his guitar tech, his other one, Chris Bynum, who I love, like he actually just left the role, but he was his guitar tech for years. He gave me like a pic. He's like, did you wear that outfit for Buddy? I'm like, yeah, of course. And then as soon as Buddy got off stage, he came over to me. He's like, did you wear that shirt for me? And he like grabbed my arms and he was talking to me. He's like, oh, I got my polka dot one just like that. I'm going to wear it for you tomorrow. And he did.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I got a photo with him and it's like the most awkward photo. I'm like, it's all the flashes on me. It's so disappointing that he wasn't wearing the shirt because that would have been, I had like white and black polka dots and his one that he wore the next day was black with white polka dots.
Can you send us that and we'll put it in the episode?
Yeah,
we'll put that in.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
No, it was like literally a dream. And so we didn't spend, but like he actually spent the time to talk to me even though he was just off stage. And what was cute was he was like, he's very old. Like we were talking there was like some volunteer, like Canadian guy who was volunteering at Blues Fest. He was a head volunteer, so he was allowed backstage at certain shows, and that was the one he was keen for because he was a guitarist. And me and him were just fangirling so bad. And then him and Chris were like, oh, I wonder where Buddy's going to come through. And then I'm like, oh my God, guys, he's sitting right behind us. Like he was so just sitting there like a little old man in this like plastic seat. You couldn't even see him. And then when he was on stage, he just like came alive.
Wow.
And then he'd like hop off the side of the stage at times, like blow his nose and have a tea. It was really cool to see. And then he'd be like humping the guitar on stage. So, yeah.
Do you know what's funny? Like when you were talking to Buddy Guy, did like the thought pop through your head? Like this is somebody who's lived a life and, you know, not only been Buddy Guy, but like literally met everyone. Like
yes,
Jimi Hendrix, like
everyone looks
Eric
up
Clapton,
to him as well.
Elvis.
Everyone.
he
looks
tells
up to
amazing.
him.
What I love about Buddy Guy is he loves to support upcoming blues musicians, always has rallied behind them, always has got guitarists up on stage with him. He spends time to talk to, like even when Chris played with him, do you know how many times he would tell these stories? Like he would tell the same old stories, the same guitarists who were like, oh my God, you played with Hendrix, you played with B.B. King. And like he sat with Chris in the dressing room when they first played together at, you know, the big whichever venue it was either Carnegie or Albert Hall. They sat backstage and he talked to Chris about Jimi Hendrix and told him all these amazing stories. And it's like, he doesn't have to do that, you know? Like he's in his 80s. He would have told the same stories a billion times, but like he wants to inspire people. He's really about keeping the blues alive. And like, that is what makes me love Buddy Guy so much. Like a few of my friends have got up and played with him on stage. My friend Dylan Salfa in America, shout out to Dylan, love you Dill. He got up and played with Buddy and like it's just amazing. Like he just supports young guitarists.
I think that's the key, isn't it, with music? Is like you want to be able to pass it down and all those stories and like moments you want to pass them down. So like you meeting Buddy Guy and you know your friends and it's so that when you're having your career, all those stories and that are still in the ethos, you know, you can pass that information on. And then you'll do the same. You know what I mean? And
exactly.
it's beautiful. And I think it's more so in blues than anything else. That's really there.
It's a family community kind of feeling. And I think because especially now the blues is dying off a little bit, there's still such a strong group of people that love it. But like it is really important to inspire like younger generations to get into the blues and to love the blues. And like I think like all of those stories like inspire. And like it's so funny, next to my bed like most people have a picture of them and like a man, it's me and Buddy Guy. Like I wake up next to a picture of me and Buddy and like that's inspirational. Like but yeah, like I hope to inspire like other young girls to get into the blues as well. And like I love it. Like it's just I think it's just something about the blues community that feels like a big family, which you don't get with a lot of other genres. It just feels like we're all here for the same goal, which is to like keep the blues alive. And like and it's same with the soul kind of scene as well. The soul scene's like that gives me hope because it's had such a resurgence. Like ever since Leon Bridges got big, like everything's just
love Leon Bridges.
Love him.
I didn't know he was playing last week.
Yeah, I know.
I
but I've
didn't
seen
know,
him
and then like I seen a picture of him at Frankie's as well the night before the show. We went to Frankie's. He was with Nick Rodriguez, shout out Nick, photographer, and he was, he's so cool, so amazing.
I love just his whole aesthetic, everything. What I love about Leon is that he really did come in with even the Teskey brothers. They did what they loved, and it was old school music, soulful, bluesy. Yeah. Well, he wasn't bluesy, but the Teskey brothers are, and like, but it's very like. Especially their first records, with straight up old school music. But they're like the authenticity
kisses down in New Orleans. Yeah, some great records. Right. So as we start to wrap up, Chloe, what's next? What are you doing? Where are you going?
So we just released our new single, Broken Woman.
Banger.
Yeah. And actually, I just realized today Joe Bonamassa added it to one of his Spotify playlists, Cutting Edge Blues. And I'm like,
congratulations.
It's a good day. I woke up and I'm like, oh yeah, like that's exciting. He's really been a support actually. He added our very first single to a few of his big playlists on Spotify, and that was like opened up our our audience so much. To have that support again, it's like a big family. Like they just, and especially if you're a woman doing it, there's not as many, so it's like definitely you get support from people, and it's great. But yeah, so we just released Broken Woman, a music video out now, and the song on all streaming platforms, and we're playing Goulburn Australian Blues Festival in November. That's our next gig. So I've got like a whole new band behind me. It's like a new era, like finally have figured out the way that it's such a new thing for me to lead a band. Like, no, it was a journey, especially through the pandemic. The guy I started the band with, he had to go home to Brazil. So, and he's who I wrote Just Got Burned and Broke Down and Broke with. And so it was like definitely a learning curve to get to where I am now, but like I feel like I'm finally in a great place to I know what I'm doing, and like so we're playing we played some great festivals this year. We've got Australian Blues Festival, then we're doing Woodford Folk Festival over New Year's, which I'm really, really excited about. I've heard amazing things about that festival, and we're playing in Kiama in December. We've got a lot of things on the horizon. Yeah,
nice, congratulations. Are you playing Kiama Blues Festival?
Well, we played like an offshoot of that this year, but that's usually in like, I think March. So we'll probably play that next year.
I lived in Kiama for a little bit. I was working in Kiama. I was there for a bit. I just missed it. But that's all they talk about in Kiama.
Really? I love that. That's like
when Jack, you're a musician, eh? You have to stick around for the Blues Fest next year.
That was like in Windsor when they had the Blues Festival. It was like the highlight of the year. But I love Kiama. It's such a cute little town. I love it. And I love that they support the blues.
Yeah. But yeah, thank you very much for coming in, Chloe.
Thank you so much.
Honestly, we've been keeping an eye on your progress and everything you've been doing, and you're absolutely killing it.
Yeah.
Thank
you for coming in here.
I reckon
thank you for
end
your time.
of next year, like
you'll be
off. If you go to America, I don't feel like you won't come back.
I know. I've got big plans.
That sounds like a threat.
No.
If you go to America, you ain't coming back.
Well, listen, they probably don't want me over there because let's not go down that path. I got denied a visa once because I was dating an American. So it's not easy for me to get to America.
Oh, really?
Because I think they thought I wasn't going to come back if I went there with the man I was dating. Like, she's going to pop out some kids and move to America. And but I think, yes, I agree. If I go to America, it'll be amazing. And it's definitely like there's a scene for the blues there that you just cannot even touch here.
100%.
But you know what? I really want my goal, I'm manifesting playing a main stage at Blues Fest and one day the Enmore Theatre. But I really just want to, I think there's so much to pursue within this country anyway. But yeah.
You never know. You might be at that festival and a band might drop out and they say, you've just finished. Are you ready? Go on right now. That happened to my friend's band at home.
Really?
They played an introducing stage Wine Off Festival, and then a band pulled out and they played to like 7,000 people.
Wow.
Yeah, they literally carted them from that stage to that stage.
That's incredible.
So always be ready and have your gear with you.
Yes, always be ready. That's something I say that now as I have to sing and I'm like, I ain't ready.
we're ready for it anyway. So this is Chloe K and the Crusade. Oh, let me say that again. This is Chloe K and the Crusade. Thank you everyone for listening.
Like and subscribe.
Visit our Patreon, which will be right here. Give us some money and we'll give you more stuff.
Give them money.
Give them the money. Give us the money. And thank you everyone.
Thank you very much.
So much, Colin.
Thanks for having me.
Cheers.